In SCA, we manage forests for timber and for biodiversity simultaneously. This means that the forests such as this one would be set aside for the species that depend on really old trees, on dead and decaying wood. This is done in what we call the ecological landscape planning process, where we identify forests with high conservation values at the landscape level and make sure to maintain or enhance these values over time. Looking at our growing forest, it absorbs roughly 5 million tons of carbon dioxide each year. Our products then also replace fossil-based materials corresponding to another 6 million tons each year. Adding those numbers up, we end up with a net benefit in 2021 of 10.5 million tons of carbon dioxide. At SCA, we aim for zero waste. Our ambition is to maximize the value creation in and from the forest, and this includes using the whole tree to its full potential. This means that we use the bottom part of the tree, the big logs, to make solid wood products. When we run these logs through our sawmills, we get also bark and we get sawdust, and those are used for energy production, to heat the dryers in the sawmill. The chips that's also produced is used later on in the pulping process, together with the smaller logs from the top of the tree. This is a way to simply make the best possible use of the whole tree. And as a result, SCA is actually almost fossil-free in our production units. We're 96% fossil-free, and we're actually net providers of both electricity and heat. I think to understand the forest debate in Sweden, you have to understand that Sweden is a forest. About 70% of the country is covered in forests. Forests is a part of our identity, of our culture. People care about the forest. The standing volume in SCA's forests has doubled since the 1950s. And what's remarkable is that over the same time period, we have also doubled our harvesting volumes from the same forest. This is actually fantastic. It's an infinite resource when managed properly. We use several tools to manage biodiversity in our forests. One important tool is what we call ecological landscape planning. This is when we identify high conservation values at the landscape level and make sure to either maintain, restore or enhance these values. Another important tool is the detailed planning we do prior to any harvesting activity. This is when we identify important features that we wish to retain after harvest. This could be old trees, it could be old and decaying wood, and it could be buffer zones to wetlands, for example. When talking about biodiversity, I think it's important to remember your own mindset. We've shifted in SCA from talking about biodiversity as a restriction in our operations, so what not to do. But now we view it much more as a part of our value creation. When we manage forests, we also manage for the value of biodiversity. It's very important to take a holistic view on the forest. The forest is more than just the standing trees absorbing carbon dioxide. It's also the products derived from the forest which help us reduce our dependence on fossil fuels and materials. When you look at managing the forest, you have to understand both sides and you have to manage for both of them. You have to have a growing forest, but you also need to manufacture climate-smart, recyclable products from that forest at the same time.